put this question in thought in your head, okay? If it doesn't end, then what? Okay? And I want to put this in better context for you. Some things in your life have to come to an end. And I'm not talking about relationships today. Like, don't just think about that. Maybe it's that for you. I don't know your situation. But I'm talking about just in general, some things in your life have to end for better things to begin. A lot of us, we want this better life, right? We want next year to be great. Like some of us already thinking next year is going to be incredible. But I got to tell you this, like just being straight up with you. If you keep letting things slide in your life that you don't need to let slide anymore, disrespect from people, right? Letting things slide with yourself, not keeping promises to yourself, not making people keeping commitments to you, allowing things to happen, allowing things to treat you any type of way. If you keep letting things slide, nothing will change. Because it's the truth about life. And I thought about this in the car because I was talking to myself. I do that a lot. I was talking to myself and I thought about, man, you can't have a new beginning unless something ends. You can't. You can't have a new beginning unless something ends, because if it doesn't end, then that thing that you should have ended just goes into the new situation. That's why we have a lot of people in new relationships when the past relationship they haven't healed from, and then they take their trauma and drama into their new stuff, and then it's all messed up, right? So I want you to think about this in your life. As you move forward, what are the things that you need to be active on in your life, that you need to end, that you need to say, you know what, I'm not taking this into next year. I'm not allowing this to happen no more. I'm not allowing it to be talked to like this no more. I'm not allowing it to be disrespected no more. I'm not allowing myself to be unappreciated no more. What are the things in your life that have to come to an end, y'all? And maybe, like I said, it's with yourself. Maybe you still expecting change, but doing the same things. At some point, you have to realize this truth. And I know I'm talking with so much passion, but this is a message that can really change your freaking life. Because if you don't do anything different, and some of us know this, right? We've been living the last 10 years, like this past year, we've been living that same year for the last 10 years. We've been living that same year for the last 15 years. We've been living that same year for the last 20 years for some of us. And the truth of the matter is, if we don't make changes, if we don't say, this is the end, I'm stopping this, I'm fed up with this, I'm not allowing this no more, right? I'm ending this, this is done, I'm not allowing this to slide anymore, and this is how I'm going to live my life. If we don't make that decision, then guess what? We live life in this same cycle that sucks. The same cycle of stress, the same cycle of complaining, the same cycle of drama, the same cycle of settling, the same cycle of limitations. And I've said this to you before, you deserve more, but you also deserve exactly what you settle for. You deserve more, but you also deserve exactly what you settle for. So my hope for everybody watching this live is that you stop settling for less and you start settling for greatness. That you stop settling for average and you start settling for legendary. That you stop settling for just a little bit and you start settling for what you actually deserve in your life, what you actually want in your life, what you actually need in your life. Because we have to stop expecting these things to happen in our life by keeping the same things that are doing nothing for our life. So stop being passive. Stop letting things pass that you know aren't right. Stop letting things pass that you know don't help your life. Stop letting things pass that you know are poisoning your soul, and start being active. Start getting your game of life and making a change to your life, y'all. And I know it's easier said than done. I know it's hard. I know all of these things, but you have to understand this truth. In order to move up, there are some things you must be willing to give up. And I'm going to tell you right now, those that move up are those that end up being fed up. Those that move up end up being fed up. And when they're fed up, they give up the things that don't move them forward. They give up the things that has caused them stress in their life. They give up the things that's kept them in the same cycle. They give up the things that kept them in the same habit of trauma. They give up the things that's kept them in the same loop of drama. They give up the things that's kept them in the same cycle of average. They give up those things because they get sick and tired and say, I want something new. I want a new beginning. A lot of us are thinking, oh, 2023 is going to be my year. This is going to be everything change. My friend, I want to tell you this. I hope and I pray that's true. But if you keeping the same things in your life that's brought the same complaints, that's brought the same stress, that's brought the same headaches, that's brought the same whatever, nothing will be different. Nothing will be different. So there's some things that you have to end so better things can begin. One of my most popular quotes, and I'll say it right here. I want y'all to write it in the chat. I want y'all to share this. Sometimes it takes painful endings to create beautiful new beginnings. Sometimes it takes painful endings to create beautiful new beginnings. And I know a lot of us in this live right now, a lot of you watching this on replay, a lot of you listening to my voice, you're thinking, but Trent, I'm so afraid, man. I'm so afraid to have that conversation. I'm so afraid to, let me just say this before I get into that. Like, there's some things that you have left undone that you need to tidy up. There's some loose ends, like make it done, right? If you owe somebody money, give them their money before the new year. If somebody owes you money, get your money, right? If there's a conversation that you need to have that conversation. Don't take this year's stress and make it next year's problems, right? We want to start new. We're not bringing this year of nothing into next year. We handling our business, we standing on what we standing on, and we're not letting anything slide, and we're taking care of things so we don't have to bring the same drama into our next year and causing stress and causing worry in our life. Hold on, guys. The light's cut off. Let me turn on the car. Okay, so this is what I want to tell you when it comes to fear, because some of you thinking, man, Trent, you don't understand. I'm so afraid to have this. I'm so afraid. I get it, man. Fear sucks, but I want you to understand this with fear. And listen to the podcast episode because it'll go in deeper. Use fear, don't let it use you, y'all. Like, fear can make you inactive in your life. What do I mean by that? It can make you passive in your life. What I mean by inactive, it's taking care of the things you need to take care of. It's being a watcher. It's being a wisher. It's allowing things to take place that you know you shouldn't allow. Being inactive in your life. That's what happens. Fear paralyzes you unless you decide to use fear for you. How do you use fear for you and make fear your power? You start to think about this one question, and I'll probably don't get off after this question. I want y'all to think about this question. This question is a life-changing question. It's so simple, but it's a life-changing, not even question, it's a life-changing practice. And this is something I was thinking about in the car today for myself, because there's some things that I need to take care of. There's some things that I need to finito, dead, gone. Like, nope, no more. Think about this. And I want to take my time on this because I want y'all to hear me and understand me and feel me. I want you to think about this with fear. The fear of not doing it should be stronger than the fear of actually doing it. What do I mean by that? Let's just say it's a hard conversation that you got to have in your life, right? And you don't want to have this conversation. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe you got to tell somebody, you got to cut them off financially. Like, hey, you've been taking advantage, whatever it is for you, right? And it's a hard conversation. And there's fear, right? There's fear of having that conversation. But I want you to think for a moment, your life, if you don't have that conversation. What is it costing you if you don't have that conversation? Right? What is it costing you if you don't set that boundary? What is it costing you if you don't demand your respect? What is it costing you? The fear of what it's costing you should always be greater. And when it's greater than the fear of the action, because this is the thing, y'all. Oh, this is so powerful with fear, man. I hope that y'all get this. Y'all getting this in the chat, let me know. Send me some hearts, send me some likes. I want to make sure y'all getting this. Like, let me know. I hope this is really getting to you. When it comes to fear, right? And I was thinking about this today. Fear of the moment is so freaking powerful, right? Fear of the moment. I had a thing I had to do today. I won't share it right now, but it was something I was challenged to do. And the fear of the moment was like paralyzed. Like, man, I don't want to do this. And the fear of the moment paralyzes us often because we just think about the moment. But when we think about the fear of the future, it gives us a little bit of power. So that situation I had today, when I was thinking about the moment, I was like, man, I don't want to do this. When I start thinking about the future, like, man, what is it going to cost me if I don't do this? How can it help my life if I do this? And that fear turned into my power because I was thinking in my future. So you might say, Trent, what does that have anything to do with me? Everything to do with you. If you're a person right now that is afraid to make decisions, that's afraid to make choices, that is afraid to change your environment, that is afraid to stop letting things slide, that's afraid to, whatever it is for you that you haven't done that you know you need to do, I just want to ask you this question. What is it costing you not to do it? It's probably costing you your sanity. It's probably costing you your peace. It's probably costing you your sleep. It's probably costing you your happiness. It's probably costing you all of these things. The fear of that should be more powerful than the fear of the action, than the fear of the moment. So I want you to start thinking future. So right now, I want you to literally think about a year from now, because a year from now is coming for a majority of us, right? It's coming. We can't deny that. It's coming. And I want you to think about this for a moment. If you don't do it, whatever that is for you, if you don't end it, whatever that is for you. And again, I have to say this because I don't want us making immature decisions. Don't end something because it's hard, right? Don't end something because it's a misunderstanding. Like, you know what you need to end. You know if something is not changing, something's not better in your life. I want to say that. Don't prematurely end things because it's tough, right? We're not going to be quitters on certain things, but there's certain things that we can no longer do anymore because we know it is not right for our life. So for me, for example, I would say this, and I don't want to give the whole podcast away, but, I had to make a choice in my life to end something. And that was a dream of mine. That was my everything. So I ended my dream so my purpose could begin, right? There's no Trent Shelton that y'all know if I don't end that. And that was a damn painful ending. It was hard. One of the hardest decisions I had to make in my life. But I had to end that so I can create a new, beautiful beginning in my purpose. So as you think about a year from now, I want you to feel your life controlled by fear of the moment, and you don't make a change. You don't make a decision. And I want you to really feel your feelings and be like, damn, a whole nother year went by and I'm still in the same place. I'm still dealing with the same thing. I'm still accepting less. I'm still miserable. I'm still on Facebook typing, complaining about things that I haven't changed. I'm talking about the same thing I was talking about 5 years ago. I'm telling the same sad story that I've been telling, and I'm stuck in my story. I need to retire that story. Let me just say that too. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to say this too, because this isn't me being insensitive. This is me really helping you. Okay? A lot of us, we are stuck in our story, y'all. Like, retire that story. And I'm not saying that story doesn't have to become a part of your life anymore, because that story is your life. But that story is not your story, it's a chapter. And a lot of us, we're stuck on the same chapter. That chapter has become our identity. That mood has become our character. And now that moment has become our whole story. We're still telling the same sad story about how somebody hurt us, what they did to us. And that is true. And that sucks. But guess what? There's more to your life than that moment. There's more to your life than that person that hurt you. There's more to that job that cut you, that fired you. There's more to that situation that you might have made a mistake in your life. It's more to that. It is time for you to redeem yourself and create more chapters in your life. That's a part of your story. It's not your story. So I want to say that. But I want to tell you, man, this is the moment for a lot of you. For a lot of you listening to my voice. This is the moment right now where you can make decisions in your life. Because I'm going to tell you, life will decide for you if you don't decide. And a lot of us, we've been living passive our whole life. Just accepting life, living passive, accepting things, accepting how people treat us, accepting how people talk to us. We just accepting it. We just passive. I want you to be active in your greatness, right? Be passive in settling for less. Don't involve yourself in that, but be active in your greatness. Be active in your next level. Be active in meeting the greatest you. Be active in setting your standards. Be active in standing by your principles. Be active in those things that better yourself, and stop being so damn passive. We've been passive for far too long. And we've been passive, and the things that are meant for our life just pass us by. When you're passive, things just pass you by. When you're passive, what's meant for your life just passes you by. When you're passive, your greatness just passes you by. When you're passive, the relationship that you're supposed to be building just passes you by. It is time for you to stop being passive and start being active. And how you be active is, I want you to think about one thing tonight. Just one thing. You don't got to think about a million things. Just one thing that you say, that you think, or that you know, I am making sure this doesn't continue. Now, don't take that out of context, right? I'm talking about positive things. I'm not talking about doing anything crazy or anything like that. But maybe it's something inside of you that you say, man, I can't continue to be doing these things, right? I want this next level of life, but I keep living in the same cycle of habits that has kept me at the same level. So I have to make a choice to leave this comfort behind. You know, sometimes it takes leaving a comfortable life, right? It takes leaving a comfortable life. Actually, let me tell you, it takes leaving. Let me say this correctly, and I want y'all to get this. Some of us will choose a comfortable life that leads to an uncomfortable life, then actually live an uncomfortable life now that leads to a more comfortable life in our future, right? Some of us, we're comfortable in settling for less. We're comfortable in pain. We're comfortable in the things that we know for damn sure we shouldn't be comfortable in anymore, right? We're comfortable in that. Like, no more. Like, you shouldn't be comfortable in that. You shouldn't be comfortable in being passive on things that aren't good for your life. You shouldn't be comfortable in letting things slide that you like. This shouldn't be comfortable. When the things that shouldn't be normal become normal in a negative way, that's when we have a problem. I need you to be very uncomfortable in that. Like, when I'm in situations that I know aren't right for my life, I'm very uncomfortable. I'm like, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't accept this. I shouldn't be around this. Like, this is like, I shouldn't be thinking like this. Like, it's uncomfortable. And that's a sign for me to say, man, at least I know that I'm not accepting a life that I shouldn't be accepting, y'all. And so I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I hope that y'all get this. Thanks for the stars, y'all. I appreciate it. But if one thing that you can do for me, one thing, number one, go listen to the podcast tomorrow, Straight Up by Trent Shelton. Go to trentshelton.com. Anywhere listen to podcasts. My podcast has been on fire lately. Like, it's the biggest that it's been, and it's because of y'all. Number two, we have a challenge going on, and I'm gonna say this because a lot of y'all don't know. We have a challenge going on called the New Beginnings Challenge, right? So you have about almost 30 days left in this year. We started this 30 days ago, but it's not too late. If you're a person that says, you know what, I'm gonna put an end to some things and I'm gonna start something new right now, this is a good place to start. All you have to do is text the number. I'm gonna write it down here. 817-242-2719. I'm gonna write it down right there. You can text NBG to that number. Just text that number. So I'm gonna send out a text tomorrow about how you can be involved in the rest of the challenge. But I hope that you got me today. I hope that you understood what I was talking about today, because I really want you to think about that. As I was sitting in the car, I was like, man, that's true. Like, you can't have a new beginning without having an end to something. Like, there's no new beginning unless something ends. You know what I mean? There's no new chapter without the end of a chapter. You know, the chapter has to end. If I want to create a new chapter, that has to end. So for you, I think it's about getting clear to say, what am I ending now that might be hard to do, etc. But what am I ending now that's going to help me create the new beginning that I deserve in my life? Because we can't keep living life on repeat and expecting not to repeat the same life. We can't keep living life on repeat and getting mad, getting frustrated, complaining that we are repeating the same life, right? You might not have all the answers, right? You might not even know where you're moving on to, where you're going, but you gotta know, man, where you're not staying. Like, it's less about knowing what you're moving on to, and it's more about knowing what you're moving on from. I'll say that again. It's less about knowing what you're moving on to, and it's more about knowing what you're moving on from. Because listen, we can have all the plans in the world. God's plans is greater than our plans. You know, I'm not living a life full of planning no more. I'm not planning, but I'm living a life being active in the things that I want to create, in the things that I want to do, and how I want to serve, and how I want to live my life, right? I'm tired of being passive. I'm tired of sitting on the sidelines, being inactive. It reminded me in football. I was inactive in the NFL for far too long. I wanted to get in the game. I was always inactive. They never put me in. And I was like, dang, I want to get in the game so I can show what I got. And I never got a chance to be active. And so I said, man, one thing is for sure, when I'm the coach of my life and I can make the choice and decisions in my life, in this game of life, I'm going to be active, baby. I'm going to live a life of activity in a positive way, because my biggest freaking fear, and this is how you allow fear to use fear for you. My biggest fear is not dying. I tell people all the time, dying is not my biggest fear. Dying without living is my biggest fear. And I fear it so much that I live my life to the fullest. And every year I check in with myself and ask myself, did I live in a way? Was this year wasted because I wasted so much time and wasted minutes? Or was this year fulfilled and purposeful? And I want a life, no matter when I check out of here, whether it's, I'm not going to speak when it's going to be, whenever God calls me home, I want to just know, if I'm able to know, I just want to know, like, man, I lived. I want my kids to know that dad lived. My family to know that dad lived. My team to know that y'all to know, man, Trent freaking lived. You know what I mean? He lived. You know why I live? Because I was so afraid to die without living. Some of us on this live right now, and I say this with all sincerity in my heart, I say this with all compassion in my soul. Some of you are dying while you're living. I'm not talking about from diseases. I'm not talking about those things, right? But I'm talking about in your soul. You have stopped doing, right? You no longer do, right? You have literally accepted a life that wasn't, that you weren't created to live. You're being passive in your life. You're being passive in your life. You're just allowing just the days to flow by. You're not taking any ownership of the freaking day, man. Like, I get fired up about this because these are the things that matter, man. These are the things that matter. It ain't about, I don't even know if y'all feel me. Sometimes I don't even know if y'all feel me or you hear me, but even if it's just one of y'all, man. But like, we just let days just pass. We just do the same thing and go to the same job. And listen, nothing wrong with that if you're fulfilled with that, right? But to the person that's complaining on Facebook every 5 minutes about their job that they hate, and they just keep doing the same thing over and over, or the relationship that they hate, talking about who they with, and they stay in that relationship over and over and over, and just being passive with your life, just allowing time to just dictate your life. You're counting the days away. You just, the flip of a calendar, nothing changed on the day. The same 24 hours. The next 24 hours, like the last 24 hours in your life, and you're just being passive. Like, that's not the life. That's not the life. I don't believe that's why we were created to live. I believe that we were here for a purpose, on purpose. I believe that. And so my biggest fear, how I use fear as my power, I am so freaking afraid not to live. So even before this, like, November 1st is my new year. I made a decision. I'm going to do everything in my heart that I want to do. I'm going to create experience that I want to create. I'm going to create like I want to create. I'm going to be myself to the fullest. I don't care anymore. I don't care, because I'm going to live my life, because I know when I live my life, change is going to happen. I promised my grandma a long time ago, because she asked me this and she told me, and said, Trent, whatever you do, make sure it's better than how you found it. And so I'm going to live my life that way. I don't care. Today, I'll share. Today, literally, I was eating and I got challenged to just give a speech while I was eating. And at first I was letting fear control me, and I gave a speech to the employees. They didn't know who I was. I just gave motivation to them, because you know what? I thought about my grandma and the promise that I made her. I'm going to leave whatever it is better than how I found it. Better than how I found it. Doesn't mean life is perfect. Doesn't mean life is always pretty. Doesn't mean life is always great. But I'm going to leave it better than how I found it. And that's how I'm going to live my life, man. Because I'm so freaking afraid not to live my life to the fullest. I'm so freaking afraid to settle for less. I'm so freaking afraid, man. I'm scary. I'm scary. People say I have no fear. I'm scary of that. I don't have a paralyzing fear. I have a powerful fear. I'm so freaking scary when it comes to not living my life to the fullest. That's why I go hard and been going hard for the last decade, man. Because I'm off. I'm gone. So I just want to share that with y'all, man, because I think sometimes y'all hear influencers, y'all think they just be talking. Like, hopefully y'all know that this is heart talk. Like, this is purpose talk. Like, I've been doing this for the last 13 years. The same thing, grabbing my cell phone, going live before it was even popular too, because I freaking care about y'all. And I talk like this. I promise you, before I press live, I be like, you know, I'm going to talk calm. I'm going to protect my peace, but I can't help it because I want y'all to get it so bad. I see my inboxes. I see my emails. I see what y'all be asking me, the questions. I see it. And I'm like, damn, man, if they just listened and understood and applied, if they just tried, if they just became active in their life with the little things, those things could change. So hopefully, something in this live touched your soul. I promise you, I'm going to start going live more. I know a lot of y'all been asking for it, but again, when I'm not here, just know I'm everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm on my podcast. I'm on my the challenge group. I'm on Instagram. Like I'm traveling. Like I'm speaking a lot. We have a new event coming in Dallas. Just letting y'all know, a live event. Y'all been asking for it, so I did it. That's one of those things when I'm living. I'm not being passive no more. I want to do an event. I want to bring events back. It's safe now to bring them back. I'm bringing events back next year in Dallas, actually in April. So get ready for it. Live event. Come down to it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, anything that comes to my mind to create, I'm not waiting, because doubt waits, confidence creates. Remember that. If you spend your whole life waiting, it's because you're a doubtful person. If you spend your whole life creating, it's because you're confident. Okay? Confidence doesn't mean that you don't have fear. None of that. It's that you will use fear for your power, and it doesn't paralyze you, because you think bigger than the moment. You think future. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. All right, let's get it.